Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F122 Driver Career Mode, fresh off of a rough Belgian Grand Prix. The return from the summer break didn't go how we wanted. We got turned around by Lewis Hamilton, and then we had an engine failure as well. So we're coming back to now the Netherlands here in Zandvoort, just down the road, hoping to have a bit better of a weekend here as we were landing. And actually Lewis Hamilton coming into this weekend with a statement to the Formula One world.
Hey guys, it's Lewis here. Just wanted to say a quick thanks for all the support this season. It hasn't been easy for me, and I want to apologize for the mistakes I've made. I am not stopping anytime soon, and I plan to be back on form this weekend.
Hamilton getting straight to the point. Aside from the accident that we've had with him in the last episode, he also took us out in Austria on the final lap of that Grand Prix. But you look past the two incidents that we've had with Lewis, he has had a terrible season. We have yet to see Lewis Hamilton on the podium. Meanwhile, his teammate of George Russell is currently in the top 3 in the standings, still fighting for the World Drivers' Championship, although it's a bit of a long shot for him at this point, as it's shaping up to be a repeat of last season. Max Verstappen facing off against Charles Leclerc. Leclerc trying to go back-to-back World Championships now in this storyline. Verstappen's only a one-time champion, Leclerc a one-time champion. One of them is going to become a two-time champion this season, but the question is who? And here we are in Max Verstappen's home Grand Prix weekend. Hopefully for himself, he's not going to be doing what I just did here at free practice 1, because I just spin the car, and that was it for myself in practice. Ricardo atop of the leaderboard there. I was P13 on a bit of a harder compound tire on the mediums versus his softs. We jumped through into qualifying, and you think back to the last 2 Grand Prix episodes, and in Belgium in the last one, we struggled hard in qualifying, and the one before in Hungary, before the summer break, we also struggled in qualifying. We haven't made Q3 in a few episodes here, and I'm hoping that today is the day. I actually had to replace my gearbox before we went out on the track, but a gearbox replacement is very quick here in F122. It was pretty worn. It was in the mid-60s, so I didn't want to take a risk bringing that gearbox into the Grand Prix. There is a bit of a trend, though, sometimes when you replace gearboxes in F122. Sometimes that gearbox likes to fail, the new one, in the very next Grand Prix that you use it in. So we come through, though, here in Q1. We are going to make it into Q2, no problems, but we were only in P10. Our teammate of Ricardo, P5. No standout names out. It's Albon, Schwartzman, Stroll, Ocon, as well as Latifi. Actually, Ocon's a bit of a surprise. Alpine has continued to fall off here in the R&D as the season has progressed. They really haven't gone forward at all. They started really strong, but they've gone downhill pretty quick here now, to where I think next season they might be a team that's towards the back of the grid, a back marker, a true back marker here now. My first lap, though, in Q2, we crossed the line. It's P6, and I was hoping it was going to be okay, but we were down to P10 as we came through late in Q2 on my final attempt. So that was where, well, the concern starts to build up. Are we about to have 2 back-to-back since the summer break rough qualifying efforts? And you can see I found some time, 0.2 of a second better, and that time continues to get better and better as the lap goes on. 2.5 tenths, now 3, close to 0.4 of a second. Pretty confident that 0.5 of a second, a whole half second, should be enough to get us into Q3, considering we are already in P10. We come through the final couple of corners there. The penultimate corner could have been a little bit better, but then we cross the line. It's P7, but it would actually not be enough. We are out again, P13, and we're not the only surprise name. Perez is out in the Red Bull, along with Norris, Zhou Guanyu, and Yuki Tsunoda. So that is 3 back-to-back misses of Q3. I don't know what it is in qualifying, but we've been off. We got some work to do again, but I know we have race pace today. Let's head to the grid.
For years, the passionate Dutch fans have been easy to find trackside in races across Europe. Here this weekend, it's even easier to find the Dutch fans as they have a race to call their own once again. A warm welcome to all of our viewers in the Netherlands and around the globe, of course, as we get underway for the Dutch Grand Prix. Zandvoort circuit has 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with plenty of steep camber and elevation changes to keep our drivers on their toes throughout the 2.6-mile lap. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Daniel Ricciardo has a clear view ahead of him from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Sainz, George Russell and Magnussen, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher, Tsunoda and Sergio Perez, Golden Boy, Hamilton, Guan Yu Zhou and Norris, Albon, Schwartzman, Lance Stroll and Pierre Gasly. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ocon and Nicholas Latifi. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. Let's have a chat about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within the team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do. And that has definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Ready to go racing then, and like I said, we have some work to do. I believe we have good race pace. We do gain 2 spots due to those grid penalties. We're starting on the softs. It's a bit of a mixed bag, a lot of them on softs, but a lot on mediums as well. Let's get ready to roll.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. The question I'm asking is which teams have got it right, which ones have got it horribly wrong?
All right, mate, we're on an aggressive strategy to make up for quali yesterday. Don't hold anything back.
Yeah, sorry about qualifying again, guys. I don't know. I've been off lately. We'll have to talk about it after the Grand Prix, but yeah, let's keep our head in the game today. We're on those softs because the aggressive strategy, I think, is an opportunity for us today because I think we have good race pace. I just didn't have it in qualifying. In Belgium, it was hard to tell what we had, and in Hungary, we never really had any pace that weekend, but I believe we have good race pace this weekend in Zandvoort. So here we are, ready, well, to prove that. Hamilton starts P12. We're ready to go. 5 red lights, and it's going to be Daniel Ricciardo on the front row with Charles Leclerc leading the way down towards turn 1. We are racing in Zandvoort. Max Verstappen in his home Grand Prix would love to get the jump on Leclerc into turn 1. The 2 drivers battling for the World Drivers' Championship. And don't forget, Ferrari and Red Bull are battling for the Constructors as well, just like they were last year. Verstappen gets Leclerc immediately here, and he can set his sights on our McLaren teammate now. A little bit of a rule of thumb, you could call it. Every Grand Prix that Ricciardo has qualified on pole this season, he's won. He had 2 poles coming into today, and both of those Grand Prix he won, and well, most recently being the last episode in Belgium. Can he go back-to-back Grand Prix wins again here now and pick up the victory in the Netherlands? We'll have to wait and see. I was battling there briefly with Sergio Perez. As you can see, everybody getting through this opening lap pretty clean, not a crazy start by any means. Now Ricciardo with a decent, comfortable gap on Max Verstappen, and Verstappen pulling a little bit of ways from the 2 Ferraris of Leclerc and Sainz. I'm now setting one up the inside right there, a former teammate of Mick Schumacher. Haas is still the best car on the grid in the R&D, but Magnussen and Schumacher have not been able to get to the top step of the podium. They've been able to get podiums, they've been very strong, but looking like a little bit off for them today here now, as the best running right now is Magnussen in P6. You see myself trying to use that banking on the outside there, NASCAR style, to go for an overtake on Tsunoda, putting a lot of pressure on the AlphaTauri Japanese driver now. As you can see, him struggling for grip a little bit there. He's on those mediums versus my softs. I have a clear advantage. We got to make use of this advantage early on in the Grand Prix because we are going to have to pit earlier than these other drivers around us. But there we go, into the chicane, another spot gained. So we pass Yuki Tsunoda and now can set our sights on Fernando Alonso. A really good first couple of laps, up into P8 after starting P11 after qualifying 13th, but we got up to P11 with those grid penalties, so really happy with the start, and I was expecting to start closing in very quickly on Fernando Alonso. However, that didn't happen. My pace started to struggle a little bit here, and you can see that I couldn't really close in. Lap 4, lap 5, coming up on lap 5, and it's the same situation. I check my tires and I see the issue. We are actually overheating our tires. Look at that, 105 degrees Celsius on the left front. That's a huge issue. Even the rears are over 100 degrees. So something with the setup has been causing my tires to overheat, and my pace dropped like a rock.
We need to abort this strategy. Plan B, plan B.
You hear it there, Plan B. Plan B is come in early for hard compound tires, so that's what we're doing. At the end of lap 6, we're headed into the pits because my pace is dropping. I couldn't close in on Alonso nearly 2 seconds back at this point. Perez was starting to put pressure on me, so now we got to put extra laps on the hards, which isn't concerning because as of late, I have been able to find some really good pace in the hard compound tire. For whatever reason, you think back to the Silverstone British Grand Prix, we were on fire on the hard compound tires, faster than anybody on the circuit, and I kind of feel those vibes of Silverstone here in terms of the handling of the car, aside from overheating the tires. So although we're pitting earlier than planned, I think we have a nice opportunity here to gain a lot of time, as we're going to be probably faster than everybody on the circuit, and then they're going to pit, and we should gain more time than we would gain if we went with a different strategy or the original strategy, I should say, of pitting when we were originally scheduled to. I think we will gain more time with this one. You saw briefly Lewis Hamilton running outside of the points again. I don't know what's going on again. Hamilton just can't find that pace. He said he was coming back on form. It doesn't look like it now. P16 currently, we're setting the fastest laps of the Grand Prix, and we're coming through to gain some positions now as you see some drivers into the pits. That's Schwartzman and Latifi as well. We're closing in on the back of Pierre Gasly compared to his teammate of Tsunoda. He's having a big struggle here today. But the big question is, where are we going to cycle out compared to Perez? That's kind of the driver I'm paying attention to. And you can see right there on the leaderboard, we would come out 1.8 seconds, 2 seconds about ahead of Perez now as we're scrapping with Gasly. So we made a nice gain, 2 seconds at least over Perez now, as he was very close to us when we entered the box. But we are wheel to wheel with that Red Bull sister team, and we are somehow going to come out of this on top there. That got really close, and I kind of forced Gasly's hand to back out of it right there. But up into P12, we are going to cycle through, I think, into a really good position here now. Here I am on the bank of fellow Canadian of Lance Stroll. Now only left to pit is the drivers on the mediums. Everybody on softs is coming to the box now. Wheel to wheel down into turn 1. Stroll misses the inside apex a little bit there. I was able to fortunately react to that and go a little bit wider and get around him. So that puts us into P11 briefly there, getting a little bit too much curb as well. But you can see yellow flags. Lap 16 now on the left side of the screen, and that's Robert Schwartzman retiring due to a mechanical failure. So the Alfa Romeo rookie who's had a miserable rookie season out of the Grand Prix. You have to wonder if he's going to return to Alfa Romeo next season or not. Ricciardo pits from the lead. He's been in command all Grand Prix long. Verstappen is going to stay out an extra lap, and here he comes in 1 lap later, and now he goes on to those hard compound tires. So we'll wait and see what happens here on that track map if Verstappen's going to come out in front of Ricciardo. You see it on the bottom of the screen. Verstappen beats Ricciardo out of the pit lane. There it is. New leader Verstappen. We've cycled through into 4th, a huge gain by pitting earlier. Perez has made a huge gain as well into 5th place, and Leclerc there just in front of us. And about midway through the lap, we realize something's gone wrong here. Ricciardo has lost a ton of time to Max Verstappen, and now Leclerc is pressuring him as they head down into this right-hander towards Sector 3. It looks like Ricciardo might have some wing damage. Yes, he does. We asked the status of our teammate. I didn't get the response I was looking for, but you can see clearly some issue with Daniel Ricciardo. Hey, what's going on with Daniel?
Looking for an update on that.
That punk brake tested Daniel out of the pits. You are not going to let Verstappen win this race. Go get him.
You hear it right there. We're going to go around the outside of Ricciardo and clear him, but Zach Brown interrupts Mark mid-sentence and kind of lets us know what happened. Apparently, Verstappen brake test Ricciardo. We're going to get a look. Here's the replay. So Verstappen's exiting the pits, and yeah, that's... I don't know how to react. I myself seeing that. I mean, Ricciardo drove into the back of Max, but Verstappen certainly slows up, and obviously it's not the first time that a Red Bull and a McLaren have had contact because, well, we have had our fair share of incidents with Verstappen, none, of course, on ourselves. So now we have to go and run down Max Verstappen 2.2 seconds up the road. We have somehow found ourselves in 2nd place. Perez behind on the mediums, but Zach Brown said, go get him. He's not winning this race. So I was driving this car as hard as I possibly could because I didn't need Zach Brown in my ear telling me that. I want to beat Max Verstappen considering what he's done to us a few times this season as well here now. As you can see myself coming up on 10 laps to go. The gap 1.6 seconds. But now we come through towards the late race update. You see the gap there visually between us two. Perez in 3rd on the mediums. He's going to fall off late in this race, and he's already falling off a little bit actually. Charles Leclerc going to be hopefully able to run down that Red Bull and get himself on the podium now. And look at Hamilton there, only in 10th place. I still don't understand What exactly is going on with that Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton? You have to wonder now. I mean, it's just not working. Something's not working there. His teammate of Russell as well, though, is having a rough day too in P6 for his standard this season. That is a bit off as of late now. As you can see, Ocon there in 15th. It's not been a good day for him compared to his teammate of Alonso in 8th place. Our teammate of Ricardo up into 13th place. Zhou Guan Yu, the last running on the track, is his teammate of Schwartzman, one spot below, but out of this Grand Prix with that mechanical failure. We are running down Verstappen, but where we were losing on the straightaways to Verstappen. That Red Bull was insanely quick in a straight line. However, in the downforce heavy sections, I was the one gaining time. You can see 1.6 seconds down into turn 1. It stayed in this 1.6 second range for a good chunk of laps here, and then I was starting to lose hope that I wasn't going to be able to run down Verstappen if I can't close that gap. But we started to find a bit more pace in this McLaren again here. And now you can see, though, still 1.6 seconds on lap 29. It wasn't coming down quite yet, but trust me, the pace is still in this car, and I was going to find it. There you see 1.5, still 1.6. Look how quick that time goes up, though, on that long front straightaway down into turn 1. It is pretty crazy how quick that car is. But we come back, lap 30, hitting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We close the gap quite a bit, but then it goes all the way back up to 1.5 seconds. We're losing 2 to 3 tenths of a second down the front straightaway. We end up getting within a second, but not actually within the DRS here. And you can see, again, back up to 1.2 seconds. But we would be able to fight through the downforce heavy sections to get within the DRS range of Verstappen. And here's the DRS detection zone right about here. And we're in 8 tenths of a second. So we are now in the DRS. Now that's going to help me set a fastest lap again. 4 laps to go. The race is on. We're running down Verstappen lap after lap, and now we have the DRS assistance to make it even quicker and easier for myself to get to him. But we know he has crazy straight line speed. You see it right there. I used DRS and he pulled away, so I have to use overtake with the DRS to even close in on the back of Verstappen. Fastest lap yet again. We're only going to have 2 laps to go this time by. You can see him struggling for grip there on the exit of the banked curve, and now here we are coming up on this final sector, and we are within half a second of the Red Bull. Coming to 2 laps to go, closing quickly, but it's not going to be enough, so I saved my battery. I'm not going to be able to lunge one up the inside. Charles Leclerc is going to come through, actually, and set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so he steals that. He's all over the back of Perez, and here I am all over the back of Verstappen. Leclerc is my biggest fan right now. He wants me to beat Verstappen to limit the points that he could potentially get here. We're all over the back of the Red Bull in his home Grand Prix. Nothing would be sweeter than taking Verstappen's home win away after what has happened between him and I this season. Here's an opportunity here in the DRS coming up to the final lap, but I don't want to make a move here. I know how fast that car is in a straight line, so if he has the DRS on the front straightaway, I'm not going to be able to defend it. So I decide we're going to be smart. We're going to wait to this final lap front straightaway to make the move. Here we go. Overtake on. DRS is wide open. Down this front straightaway. Verstappen not harvesting. He's going to run us to the pit wall as we head down into turn 1 wheel to wheel with Verstappen. I'm going to cut him off right there, saying that's the least I could do with how you've raced me earlier in this season, wrecking me 2 separate times. Very similar to shades of Verstappen, how he overtook Hamilton at Abu Dhabi in 2021, where he kind of forced him a little bit wide and basically said, you're either crashing or you're hitting the brake pedal, and that's what I did to Verstappen right there. We take the lead on the final lap in his home Grand Prix here in the Netherlands, and a very unexpected Grand Prix this has turned into for us, and suddenly we are in position to win. A few more corners to go. 2 wins on the season. Monaco, then we went back-to-back and 1 in Azerbaijan in Baku, and here we are in Zandvoort, qualifying P13, starting P11. The awkward strategy due to tires overheating worked to perfection somehow. We wouldn't have won without it. We win in Zandvoort.
Absolutely fantastic. That is a brilliant result. Well done.
If we had stuck to that original strategy of basically just pitting when the scheduled pit stop was, we would have continued to overheat those soft tires, we would have continued to lose time, and we would have never been in position to be able to run down Verstappen. It took us literally right up to the final lap to be able to get the overtake completed on him, and we only had 1 shot at him. We made it work, so we got really lucky there. So basically, the tires overheating and the strategy changed because of that. ended up being a blessing in disguise, and I really honestly did not expect that to happen, but I mean, I cannot complain. Obviously, we are at the top step of the podium for the third time in our Formula One career. It was looking like at one point it was Ricciardo getting his third win of the season today, but McLaren started on pole. It was a different McLaren though going to the top step here. Verstappen does not look thrilled on the podium right now, actually, but I mean, we will take it. Canada on the top step once again for the third time this season. Obviously, we've had a lot of ups and downs. We've been in accidents. We've had retirements and whatnot and collisions with world champions of Verstappen and Hamilton multiple times each. And we are not going to be, even though with 3 wins, we're not going to be in the championship hunt. But we are still making a really good case to be in the championship hunt in Season 3. That is for sure there. Verstappen, Perez there with us on the podium celebrating. You see the finishing order. Hamilton ends up P10. Ricciardo P11. He rebounded decently. He was down to 15th at one point after fixing that wing damage. But now, let's take a look at the standings. So we're up to P6, or actually staying P6, I should say. Verstappen's lead is 40 points over Leclerc. Russell's 72 back. So, as I said, it's Leclerc versus Verstappen for the second season in a row. That's going to wrap it up for us here in the Netherlands. In the next one, we head to Monza. So heading to the Italian Grand Prix, we also make up points and overtake Mercedes in the Constructors, which is going to be, I think, a season-long battle at this point that I'm excited to watch play out. I'll see you guys in the next one in Italy. We're going to take off here from the Netherlands. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, everybody.